Welcome to Bike Week Radio Show.
Powered by Geico. 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on motorcycle insurance.
Bike Week Radio Show with six-time AMA champion and Motorcycle Hall of Famer Broc Glover, Bobby Wooldridge, Paul Carruthers, and Scott Cox. It's Bike Week Radio Show on San Diego's sports leader, the mighty 1090.
Good morning and welcome into Bike Week Radio Show on San Diego sports leader, the mighty 1090. We have done it. We have done the impossible, gentlemen. Bike Week Radio Show's third anniversary show. Who would have bet that one? Anybody in Vegas? I think if you would have bet the over, you probably hit a nice little payday today, because I don't know how many people at Bike Week Radio Show doing this racket for 3 years now. Oh, my goodness, fellas. It feels like about 3 years since I saw you last.
It feels like 3 years since we've all been staring at each other here, but we're missing Scott Cox. But this was the original three right here.
Which is ironic, because Scott is in Austria right now, hanging out on our buddy's Winnie's couch right now, which is where Scott started Bike Week Radio Show 3 years ago to the date, hanging out on Winnie's couch, hanging out in Austria.
I forgot that.
It is. We had the sound of music in the background, and we were. The hills are alive.
Paul Carruthers, the new road warrior. He's taken the title from Broc. We see you even less than Brockster these days. You guys are out and about, spread out throughout the country all the time now.
Yeah, I almost needed my GPS to get here. It was I honestly it's kind of as weird as it sounds. I can't remember the last time I was in here, and probably last time I went in here, Broc wasn't in here, so I feel like I haven't seen him forever. I think we've had birthdays and anniversaries and you know what, anything else between, but since we've seen each other, so it's kind of nice to get everybody back together.
Okay, well, hug and you
but
make
we don't
up
even need to hug.
Yeah.
How about the fact that we dressed exactly?
That's a little weird. We have exact same shorts, same T-shirt.
Yeah, the shorts the color's very similar to the shorts. The shirt is identical. We both have, well, of course, Bike Week Radio Show shirts, but yes, it looks like our mothers dressed us today. No question about it.
And happy Father's Day to all of our listeners out there, as well as to you fine gentlemen. Happy Father's Day to you guys as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's a nice day. Father's Day is a good day because you kind of get to do what you want.
I'm just happy nowadays. I mean, it used to be we always raced on a Father's Day or whatever it is. Now it's the last couple of years they've had it to where it's Mother's Day's off and Father's Day's off. So it's very nice to not be traveling.
Very nice. Good to have you guys back home. And big show today. We'll talk to Alisa Clickenger. She's a founder of Women's Motorcycle Tours and MotoAdventureGal.com. She's all over the place. She's kind of just a badass chick. And so we'll talk to Alisa coming up. And also Todd Huffman has a cool project, the Carlsbad Raceway Monument Project, that you have a chance to be a part of with a little crowdfunding. And so we'll talk to Todd, as well as check in with Scott Cox all the way in Austria. We'll have him put down the chocolate and sausage for 5 minutes and check in with us.
It's beer 30 over there.
Yeah, no kidding. So we'll see if he can sober up, give him a glass of water, maybe some coffee. We'll talk to Scott in a little bit. But let's just jump into the news with Paul Carruthers.
Nobody knows the news better than Bike Week Radio Show.
This was an age when only men were allowed to read the news.
And only Bike Week Radio Show has Paul Carruthers.
Hey, I'm here. We can do the news now. It's all right, everyone. We can do the news. Hold on. Everyone, why are we all standing around? Let's go.
Well, I got up bright and early this morning to watch a little World Superbike racing. Those guys are in Mazzano, which is on the Adriatic Sea in Italy. Race 1 was all Tom Sykes on the factory Kawasaki. He beat his teammate Jonathan Rea. Rea kept his streak going. He's actually finished first or second in every single race this year. In race 2, Rea came back and took the victory, his 11th of the season. He now leads Sykes in the title chase by 133 points, which, Broc, I don't know. I don't know that I've ever heard of anybody leading the championship by that much. I think they're like halfway through the season or something. He's got a 133-point lead, and he's won 11 races, so there doesn't seem to be much that can slow him down. This weekend was also pretty interesting because if you remember earlier in the year, we had Troy Bayliss making his return to racing in World Superbike. This weekend we had Max Biaggi, who's a two-time World Superbike champion, 43 years old. I think Bayliss was 44. Biaggi's 43 years old, came back today and raced a factory Aprilia. He still does some testing for them, and finished with a pair of 6th places. So I think that's fairly impressive. Again, he's been off racing for a few years, and to come back at that age and beat a lot of guys that probably he shouldn't be beating is kind of cool. PJ Jacobson finished 2nd in the World Supersport race at Misano. PJ's from New York, so it's kind of cool. We have an American. He's actually the lone American in that series at all. We don't have any Americans in the World Superbike part, but we do have PJ in the World Supersport, and he's actually 3rd in the championship standings. Last night we were supposed to run the Hagerstown half mile for the AMA Grand National Dirt Track Championship, but it was rained out. Obviously, that's one of the negatives about flat track racing is they absolutely can't race if the track's wet. So, from pictures I saw, it was there was no doubt. I mean, it pretty much downpoured there. Some other news tidbits we've got. Chad Reed had shoulder surgery on Friday. I imagine that does his season. That puts him out for the season. And then the other thing I think is interesting is that, and I want to ask Brock about this, but James Stewart signed another contract with Suzuki. He's, as you know, he's had the suspension issues with the testing with positive tests on the drugs, and the suspension ends. He's coming back to run in the Red Bull Straight Rhythm event October 11th, which is in Pomona, and then he'll do the Monster Energy Cup on October 17th. And then obviously in 2016, Supercross and Motocross season. So, I mean, did that surprise you, Brock, that he was brought back? I mean, he's.
You know, I was thinking about this a little yesterday, actually, thinking about the show and talking about it. Honestly, what surprises me more than anything is just Suzuki's involvement at the level they are. I started thinking about literally Suzuki went through some financial issues. The fact that they're not the number one selling motorcycle by any means, but you look at their lineup, who they've got riding their motorcycles. I mean, they got a powerful RCH team. Got Ken Roxon, who won last race at High Point Raceway in Pennsylvania. You've got James Stewart. I mean, you got some pretty heavy hitters riding Suzuki's, and they just re-upped, as you mentioned, James's contract. I think, of course, they still think he has a lot. I mean, anytime you ever go down and just watch James ride, you have to think that this guy is absolutely capable of winning at that moment.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about him. I mean, if you are Suzuki, I mean, what else? I mean, at least you can go to the race with that guy and know that on any Saturday night he has the potential to win your race, and there's not a lot of those guys around. So, no. I mean, it makes perfect sense to me, and I'm sure, I mean, his autograph line's as long as anybody. He's popular. He's a good personality for the series. So, I mean, when I saw the press release that they'd signed him up again, and I read his quotes, you know, he's obviously pretty excited about coming back, and sometimes missing action like he did kind of wants you, you know, it makes you want it more, makes you realize kind of how cool racing motorcycles is when you don't get to do it anymore. So who knows? I'm pulling for him. I'd like to see him come back and you know, win some races.
I absolutely agree, and I think I honestly do think he's capable of winning. I really do. I think he's capable of coming back and winning races, no question about it. So. Yeah, it was nice that they signed him back up. It didn't end on that kind of sour note, and all of a sudden the contract's over and they walk away from it. I think I'm glad to see him coming back, and I can't wait to see him go up to the try to defend his straight rhythm title. I don't know if you went to that event last year, but
I saw it on TV. It was cool.
I liked it live. It was fun.
Yeah,
so it was a good event.
What else? We've got MotoGP's off this weekend. They come back next weekend at Assen in Holland. That championship has been nothing but outstanding. Valentino Rossi leads his teammate Jorge Lorenzo by a single point. They'll have their 8th round in Assen. Moto America, we get back in action next weekend. We're at Miller Motorsports Park in Salt Lake City, which may or may not be the last time we get to race there because of the situation there where the track's actually for sale. That'll be the round 6 of 9 in our series. And then Brock heads back out on the road to Mount Morris. So we've
actually to Budds Creek. Mount Morris
Budds Creek. You're right. Sorry.
Exactly.
See,
Washington,
I've been gone
D.C.
so long, I can't keep track of the schedule. But And then I want to give a shout out to my dad, who I don't get to see today because he's in Germany, and pretty cool. Yesterday he did laps on his Benelli that he won the championship in 1969, so it's pretty cool. At 77 years old, he's out riding around a MotoGP track on a motorcycle. So, and he's safe. I talked to my mom yesterday. He made it through his ride, and he's totally safe, and he'll be back next week. So good on him.
I'd just like to hear that Benelli. Honestly, I've never heard that one
it's
ride.
amazing.
I mean, 6-cylinder?
4.
Oh, it's a 4-cylinder. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I mean, some of those bikes were.
Yeah, I mean the open megaphone exhaust. I mean they're pretty amazing. The sound of those motorcycles from back then.
It was crazy. Some of them, like they were some 6-cylinders or some and there were bikes and they were smaller displacements. It's not. I mean, like so each piston was.
No,
like
the piston's the size of a quarter.
Exactly. It's just hey, now we wear the same clothes and we're going to repeat each other's sentence. That's not good. Okay. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool that your dad was able to ride around. I don't know that I'm going to ride around a motocross track at that 70 years old.
No.
But,
I was telling him to make sure he goes slow, but he's smart enough to know that that's the appropriate speed at this point. So
He's probably. You think he hit his age?
I bet he went over his age.
That's like playing golf. You shoot your age. Well, motorcycles, you're hoping to go 73 kilometers an hour or miles an hour.
And well, tell us a little bit about you guys.
Speaking of old bikes and stuff, I know it's been a while. Like I said, to talk about all these things. Well, first, because we're in a big sports studio here, we've got monitors going everywhere. We've got the Formula One car racing up here. We've got the MotoGP from Teufelstal, Germany. If you guys remember, that's the track that the Motocross the Nation was competed on a couple years ago. It's the old Eastern Germany area. It's a great facility actually, but it looks like they've got lots of ruts and water and things.
It looked like it'd be a little crash fest there on the first lap.
Yeah, it is. It's very similar to the tracks that seem to be developing this season on the AMA circuit. We've had a lot of complaints where we saw Tomac get into a big nasty crash while running up front at Lakewood. The tracks are developing. They're not grading them as much maybe, and then they're rutting up a little bit more. And that's exactly what Teufelstal it looks like here, because in MotoGP they qualify and do all their practice on Saturday. They water the track, but they don't grade it, so it does get a lot of ruts, and a lot of times it gets some moisture. And hence we saw Jeffrey Hurlings. So if you got this recorded and don't want to know, you close your ears. But Jeffrey Hurlings fell off pretty hard in the first about the second corner or going down the straightaway after turn 1, and he looks like he's not able to restart. Not sure what's going on there, but. So MotoGP on, or MX Grand Prix on, so
and we got U.S. Open up there is getting ready to roll.
Yeah, and the golf tournament's going on, and we got all sorts of Father's Day stuff going on. But one thing you were mentioning, Chad Reed's team. Chad did undergo surgery, but this week he also sent out termination notices to his entire staff. So the team is basically folding its doors as as it's known.
So that means he's done, or?
He personally is claiming he's not done. There's the rumors about doing a deal with Yamaha, of all things. I think Yamaha here in the U.S. would like to take a little bit more control of a team and bring something a little more in-house. Right now, as everybody knows, they have their Star Racing team in the 250 class. They have their JGR team in the 450 class. And I think they're looking at maybe doing something that's a little bit more Southern California based, a little bit closer to the chest here, and something they have a little bit more influence on. I think JGR is kind of their own team, and they do their own thing, and they've got their own engine
and they're
program,
all the way across
and
the
they're
country.
all the way across the country. And I think JGR likes it that way. But on the other hand, Yamaha, if they're putting their effort and they want to influence the way a motorcycle direction it's going or how the setup is on the bike, I think they want to have more input here in Southern California based. So that being said, Chad Reed's names being tossed around, but I spoke with some pretty good inside sources there at my old sponsor, and I think the quote was something more or less, we're talking to a lot of people,
right.
And Chad happens to be one, but we're talking to a lot of people, so it's not a done deal by any means. And but I did speak to one of their mechanics that I know quite well, and yes, he first got something in a text message, and he wasn't interested in being told in a text message. Mm-hmm. So later they did get an email with an attachment, a termination letter. So unfortunately, a lot of top technicians, because I don't know that any team out there had the payroll that guy, the 22 Motorsports did when it comes to top level technicians for 1 or 2 riders like that. So
Getting fired in a text, that's brutal.
well, yeah, I think it was more like, hey, we're not going to go racing anymore. And it was kind of an interesting hint, but on a flight last week coming back from Mount Morris, there was a whole bunch of people on board that flight, like maybe 25 guys coming from the races. And I noticed it seemed odd. One of the guys was upgraded to first class, and just an interesting, I was like, why would he waste an upgrade? Because you have to use your certificates to get upgraded if you don't have certain status. And I'm like, why is he using up his upgrades for it's a 45-minute flight, for God's sakes, And a buddy of mine looked at me and who had the inside know, and he says, because I don't think he's
Saving it for anything.
Thinking he's going to be flying a lot later in the year. So I think, in other words, he realized this is probably his last trip of the year. So that was the inside writing on the wall that you just had to look into a little deeper to figure that one out.
And it's funny because I just saw Rory McIlroy up there on the TV, and he actually called off his wedding to his fiancée in a text.
Cold-blooded.
That's a little harsh.
Well, here on Bike Week Radio Show, once again, it is our 3rd anniversary.
Dear Paul, don't bother coming into the studio next week. And that goes for you too, Bobby, on this group text.
As long as it comes before 7, so I haven't left.
Well, as long as we have fantastic sponsors like Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys, we're going to be doing fine. And we thank you so much for the fan support. But let's talk to Chuck Coro, our good friend at Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys. Chuck, happy Father's Day.
How you doing? Happy Father's Day to you guys.
Oh, likewise, my friend. Well, I'm not a father, but you guys should say likewise.
Oh, you are somewhere.
Yeah.
He knows your background, Bobby.
But, Chuck, we just wanted to thank you and bring you on the 3rd anniversary show. You've been such a huge part of Bike Week Radio Show's success, and as we continue to go down the road together, we just wanted to thank you and bring you on.
Thanks a lot. Pleasure being on and being associated with you guys, and congratulations on your 3rd year.
Of course, and again, it's been a while since we plugged the BAM program, but people helping people, that's what Bike Week Radio Show is about. That's what Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys is about. That is what the BAM program is about. And so if you're new to the program, you don't listen to Bike Week Radio Show, shame on you, but tell everybody a little bit about the BAM program.
Yeah, BAM, free breakdown of legal assistance for motorcyclists, started by my law partner, Russ Brown, ago. We provide free legal advice for people if they call our 1-800-for-Bikers number. We'll guide you if we can't help you. We'll just set you in the right direction. Also, we have the largest national network of volunteer motorcyclists helping others who get broken down, break down, get stranded around the country. We have a person 24/7, 365 answering the phone. And if you ever break down, you can call our number. We'll try to get you someone in that neighborhood to help you out, as long as you also sign up for the program and help someone out if they break down your.
People helping people, bikers helping bikers. That's what Bike Week Radio Show is about, and that's why we are so lucky to partner with you guys. Chuck, I know you got a big day of Father's Day ahead of you, so we'll cut you loose, my friend, but we just wanted to thank you again for being a part of the show.
My pleasure, guys. Take care. Have a great Sunday.
All right, you too.
Gotta like that, Chuck Coro, and that BAM program. And
I just think the BAM program's cool.
Yeah.
Because, your bike breaks down, you get some tow truck guy show up and hack up your bike and try to throw it on the back of a sling or something. It's like this, these guys are like, hey, we're all motorcyclists. We're helping each other out here. Sometimes it's just an easy fix, and you can get shoved back on the road maybe.
Yeah, it'd be cool if a guy shows up and knows what he's doing and just fixes your stuff and you're on the road again.
Exactly, or if at least knows he knows which end of the motorcycle you're talking about here. So it's like, yeah. So I think that's a great program, and like I said, it's AAA of motorcyclists helping motorcycle, right?
And it's 100% free. And so all you got to do is head to russbrown.com, sign up, absolutely free. And again, Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorney, always having our back with these helpful riding hints. Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys have been representing riders for decades. And here's Chuck Coro from Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys to provide you with a helpful riding hint.
Don't be tempted to misuse a handicap placard. The fines are very steep and you can be charged with a misdemeanor. Most of us need the exercise anyway, so park around the block and take a walk, or you may get caught.
This helpful hint has been brought to you by Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys at 1-800-4BIKERS or online at russbrown.com.
It doesn't get any lower than 0% financing for 63 months on new Harley-Davidson motorcycles. Exclusively at El Cajon Harley-Davidson. That's right, for a limited time only, get 0% financing for 63 months. Only from El Cajon Harley-Davidson. No games, no gimmicks, but you gotta hurry up and get into El Cajon Harley-Davidson because the offer expires on June 30th. 0 down options also available. Apply online at elcajonharley.com or visit them at 621 El Cajon Boulevard. Financing OAC and down payment may be required for 0% promo. Cannot be combined with other offers. See dealer for details. elcajonharley.com or nearby in El Cajon at 621 El Cajon Boulevard.
Summer fun on the water has never been easier and more affordable than during Yamaha's First Choice for Fun savings event at Fun Bike Center. Check out the 2015 Wave Runners featuring Ride by Yamaha, the world's first dual-throttle handlebar control system for a ride unlike anything else on the water. And right now, get the season's best finance offers on all 2015 and prior year Wave Runners, plus your choice of extended warranty or additional incentives on select models. Visit Fun Bike Center to check out San Diego's largest selection of Wave Runners. Learn more at funbike.com.
Here's an idea. Bear with me. You could save quite a bit of money just by switching your motorcycle insurance to Geico. Piles of it, in fact. But there may not be a lot of room on your bike for all that extra cash. So I had somewhat of an idea. You could get one of those nifty little sidecars, pile it up with all that money you just saved, and merrily drive on your way. It's just a thought. Just off the top of my head.
Call Geico today for a free motorcycle rate quote. Geico, saving people money on more than just car insurance.
Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys are the real deal. Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys. Their entire practice is dedicated to representing motorcyclists. As riders themselves, they understand why you ride, the issues you face, and the motorcycle culture. For over 30 years, Russ Brown and his partner Chuck Coro have been helping injured motorcyclists and their families get the care and compensation they deserve. Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys also created BAM. BAM! A nationwide buddy system of over 2 million riders helping riders in the event of a roadside emergency. BAM offers free legal advice, and thanks to Russ Brown, they have staff on hand to take your call 24/7, 365 days a year. Imagine a real person answering the phone 24/7. Just call 1-800-4BIKERS for more information and to get your BAM card today. If you go down, call Russ Brown, 1-800-4BIKERS, and online at russbrown.com.
This is Bike Week Radio Show with Bobby Wooldridge, Broc Glover, and Paul Carruthers on San Diego's sports leader, the mighty 1090.
Welcome back, Bike Week Radio Show, San Diego sports leader, the mighty 1090. Thank you for all of those who've made Bike Week Radio Show possible for the last 3 years. Happy 3-year anniversary to all you guys, also the fans, and everyone listening beyond just the Southern California area. Some of the people I happen to know for a fact we're pretty big in Europe right now, at least with one person, Scott Cox, listening in Austria through that brand new, handy-dandy Bike Week Radio Show smartphone app, the brainchild of Phil Kottner. Happy Father's Day to you, Phil, as well. And Phil, he's got 2 kids, and then the Bike Week Radio Show is his little baby. And so Bike Week Radio Show smartphone app developed by Phil. It has the Push Show podcast. You can catch the show live streaming right now. And you can also interact and shoot some emails back with through the smartphone app. So everybody, go ahead and download that thing at your smart store, app marketplace, whatever the heck they call those things.
Smart store?
Smart stores. Well, like they call it the App Store, and then the other one calls it a marketplace for Android, and I don't know. It works for all of them, though. So that's all you need to know is whatever phone you have, it works. Unless you have a Broc Glover flip phone. That's the only one who might not be able to get the app.
The smoke signals are getting to the house. As long as that coastal breeze is, I can watch what you guys say. Smoke signals.
Alisa Clickenger joins Bike Week Radio Show, founder of Women's Motorcycle Tours, womensmotorcycletours.com, also motoadventuregal.com, and even if that's not enough for you, you can also check her out on alisaclickenger.com. Alisa, good morning.
Good morning.
And so tell us a little bit about you're just a badass on a bike, basically, and as you can see, very much in high demand. 3 different websites all want a piece of you. And so Tell us a little bit about how the women's motorcycle tour started.
The idea was born out of my experience in the motorcycle industry and also my time on the road. I meet so many people when I'm traveling that come up to me and say, oh, I want to do what you can do. Oh, I'd love to do what you can do. Oh, I wish my wife could do what you do. And the fact is that anybody can do what I do. Anybody can take a motorcycle trip. So what I started doing, I started out many years ago leading tours for another organization. And with my own tours, what I started with was teaching tours that teach women how to tour, help them gain confidence as they put on the miles. We do pre and post tour coaching, and then that's turned into these weekend tours where, just anybody can join. It's just for women who want to ride together, because an all-female riding environment is different than, a mixed group, and different from most groups where many times women are the minority in a group. So, it's just a fun way to get women together, and I love to empower them to, ride their own bikes, ride their own miles, and do their own trips. I've toured over a lot of the world by myself, and just had an amazing time, and so I like to share those experiences with other folks.
How did you get
men or women.
How did you get so interested in motorcycles? Did you grow up with a motorcycle background, or you found it later in life? Where does your passion come from?
I started riding as I was approaching 30. I was going through a divorce, and I had a dream and the short version is that in this dream I had, I was running for my life, and I saw this motorcycle, and in the way of all dreams, I magically knew how to ride the thing. I sped off, saving myself from imminent danger. I woke up, and I was like, oh my God, I have to ride a motorcycle, which was a really bizarre idea for me, because I grew up with a mother who hated motorcycles and a father who scared the bleep out of me on a dirt bike when I was really young. We had this big crash, and so I was not thinking motorcycles were like on my, not on my list at all. And when I woke up from this dream, I was like, oh my God, that felt so good. I have to learn how to do that. And at the time I had a disposable job at a bank, while I was going through my divorce. And like 2 days later, a fellow walks up to my teller counter in a leather jacket, and I said to him, you ride a motorcycle, yes? And he said, yes. And I asked him how to get started, and he suggested that I take a Motorcycle Safety Foundation class, and I did that in 1995. So that was 20 years ago.
Divine intervention, the old dream from above, and you got hooked up to that.
I just want to know if when somebody was chasing you, if that person looked anything like one of the Bike Week radio hosts.
Yeah.
No.
We do have a lot of girls speeding
dream.
away from us. Yeah.
Speeding away from one particular host here. That is an interesting. So that started your desire to ride a motorcycle.
Yes. Now, I want to tell you that I didn't start out being a great rider. Like most riders, I graduated from the class and I was scared to death to ride on the street. I physically passed the class, but I had I just had rudimentary skills, and the whole combination of riding and looking out for yourself and watching the traffic and trying to make the motorcycle go was just really scary to me. I think the first time I got on the interstate, I was really dangerous. I think I did 35 miles an hour maximum. And, but I'm a training junkie, and I've just over the years, I've had a really blessed career with, motorcycling. I say career, but, riding experience, just everything, like you said, it's like divine. Everything has just fallen into place for me not without some work, because I have done a lot of training, but I always have been trying to improve my skill, become a better rider, which also therefore improves your confidence. And my personal story is it's given me huge boost to my self-confidence.
Mm-hmm. So where are you based out of? I mean, where do you spend most of your time when you're not on two wheels?
Right now, I'm based in Southern California.
Okay.
And I'm looking at some of your rides on womensmotorcycletours.com. You guys have some that start in Arizona, some in the Pacific Northwest, and I thought I even saw one that's cross-country on there.
Yes. Next year, this is my baby. Next year, I am planning a cross-country motorcycle ride for women. 2016 is the 100-year anniversary of Adeline and Augusta Van Buren riding their Indian motorcycles across the country. They weren't the first women to ride cross-country. That happened the year before with a couple of gals. Ava and Effie Hotchkiss rode a motorcycle with a sidecar across country, and that was a Harley-Davidson. So that was 1915. I didn't get organized for 2015, so our ride in 2016 is to commemorate both the Hotchkiss ladies and the Van Buren sisters, because their achievement was to ride two motorcycles, their own individual motorcycles across country. So they were the first women to do that. They were also the first women to ascend Pikes Peak on a motorized vehicle, which the peak is over 14,000 feet. And in those days, you have to think what a monumental challenge that was. First of all, it took them about 3 months to travel across the country because there were no paved roads then. They did their own maintenance, and actually, many times along the way, they got arrested for wearing men's clothes because they didn't want to ride those motorcycles in skirts. They needed to wear pants. And so several times along the way, and I just imagine these ladies, they ride 3 months. They finally achieve their goal of arriving in San Francisco, and ta-da, they get arrested for wearing pants. I just
sort of
think
the opposite of Bobby.
Yeah.
Who's gotten arrested for wearing women's clothes.
And I don't think anything would of the likes would happen in San Francisco today nowadays. But
no, never.
Yeah. Well, I have something in common there. I was probably the only person that Pikes Peak.
Oh, Pikes Peak. Oh, okay.
It was back to women's
I was going to say.
I got a ticket for not riding, but actually physically running on Pikes Peak Road, but I wasn't wearing a skirt.
Why'd you get a ticket for running?
I thought I was up there for a motorcycle race, and I thought, I went up a couple weeks early to kind of get acclimated to the elevation change, obviously, and so when I went up to the top of Pikes Peak just to see what it was like, I realized that if I just jogged about 200 yards, I became crazily lightheaded, and I thought, this is interesting. I wonder how far I could jog. So I had a person that was with me. I go, hey, just drive down the road a couple miles, and I'm going to jog and see if I can make it to you. And if I don't, come back and get me. I'll be laying on the ground. And I got pulled over by the ranger, basically, and was told that you can't do that, and there's no foot traffic, and gave me a ticket. And I promptly had to go down to the local judge, and he laughed and thought it was the funniest thing he'd ever seen and gave me like a $5 or $10 fine. But, it was...
Must be nice to be Broc Glover.
Truth, I actually did get a ticket. He'd said he's never seen that before, never seen that ordinance enforced.
Ah, interesting. So you were a first as well.
Yes, exactly, but I didn't have a skirt on yet.
And so, Alisa, I know you're organizing this cross-country ride. Have you done a cross-country ride yourself yet?
Several, yes, I have. I think my first one was 2007 that I went. I wanted to buy a BMW GS motorcycle. And my first criteria was the model that I wanted. The second criteria was I wanted it as far away as possible. And I was living in Connecticut at the time, so I bought one actually here in Walnut, and flew out, picked up the bike, and it's kind of a funny story because the seller that sold it to me, we're good friends now. He had actually taken a day off of work to he and his wife picked me up at the airport. And he said that he just wanted to go for a ride. Well, about halfway through the ride, I realized, wait a minute, he just wanted to make sure that I was going to be okay riding this motorcycle back to Connecticut on my own. And so I thought that was really funny. I think at one point I did a U-turn, just in like the two lanes, and he's like, "Oh, okay, she can ride." But it was funny, and that's the beautiful thing about this motorcycle family is that people look out for each other, and I was really touched that he had actually taken a day off of work just to make sure that I would be okay on my journey.
So is the GS your bike of choice right now, or have you kind of tell us some of the bikes that you've had?
Right now I ride a KTM 950 Adventure, and I just got back I just rode out to Colorado and back on an Indian Chieftain. It's not mine. I borrowed it from Indian, and that was a really great bike to ride. I've owned everything. I don't know if you want my whole evolution of my riding history, but I started on the Kawasaki 440. Do you want me to go into this?
No, I was just kind of curious what kind of bike you're riding. I'm trying to visualize this. I mean, it's radio, but I'm trying to get a picture of you riding down the road. I mean, if you're on, Bobby rides a little Vespa, so it's, you know, you have to understand that sometimes when I think somebody riding down the road, I see Bobby in his Vespa and his little half bucket helmet.
Well, that was always his dream.
Right, but that was his dream, and there was always men chasing him too, but it's just a different thing. So I was trying to paint a picture here on the radio.
Well, do you know that people, I don't know why Vespa is always the brunt of all of these types of jokes. I love
agreed.
Vespas.
Thank you.
I would ride one. Do you really have one?
He does, but do you wear a cardigan sweater when you do yours too? Ride yours too?
No.
Okay, well then now you've got a picture of it.
No, I'm an all the gear all the time kind of gal, but I'd love to ride a Vespa. I think that they're great looking machines. I would want an older one if I got one.
Okay, well. Bobby's is brand new, actually. It's a 2015 model. But I was just trying to wondering what you're riding. So you're riding a big KTM or a Chieftain Indian or something fun.
Yeah. My main bike right now is the KTM 950. I do a lot of dual sport riding. I have just fallen in love with the roads less traveled. In 2009 to 2010, I rode a Suzuki DR650 from Connecticut to Argentina, and I like going off the beaten path when I can.
I didn't even know that was connected. I didn't know you could get there.
It's down the 405.
Yeah, what do you got on?
I flew over the Darien Gap. There's only been one man to ride a motorcycle through the Darien Gap, and at least live to tell about it.
Well, Alicia, thank you so much for joining us. You can check out your work at womensmotorcycletours.com, motoadventuregal.com, and AlisaClickenger.com as well. Thank you so much for joining Bike Week Radio Show.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Of course. We'll catch up with you soon. And also, if you're going to hop on one of these rides with Alicia, maybe you should head to Harley-Davidson of El Cajon, one of our brand new sponsors. They can deck you out with all the gear. You can check them out at elcajonharley.com. We got a couple El Cajon boys in studio right now.
El Cajon Harley, baby. Way back in 1974, it was the first bike I ever picked up. Was Chuck Halinda Harley. That place has been around a long time. Good place. A lot of roots. Good stories there, huh?
Just a good place to go have a cup of coffee and kick some tires. I mean, really cool showroom, and you can check them out at, once again, elcajonharley.com. When we come back, Todd Huffman, one of the big parts of Bike Week Radio Show. He's been there since the very inception of the show. We'll check up with our good friend Todd, as well as Scott Cox all the way in Europe. We'll hear from these two good old boys when we come back on Bike Week Radio Show, San Diego Sports Leader, Mighty 1090.
Here's an idea. Bear with me. You could save quite a bit of money just by switching your motorcycle insurance to Geico. Piles of it, in fact. But there may not be a lot of room on your bike for all that extra cash. So I had somewhat of an idea. You could get one of those nifty little sidecars, pile it up with all that money you just saved, and merrily drive on your way. It's just a thought. Just off the top of my head.
Call Geico today for a free motorcycle rate quote. Geico, saving people money on more than just car insurance.
It doesn't get any lower than 0% financing for 63 months on new Harley-Davidson motorcycles. Exclusively at El Cajon Harley-Davidson. That's right, for a limited time only, get 0% financing for 63 months. Only from El Cajon Harley-Davidson. No games, no gimmicks, but you gotta hurry up and get into El Cajon Harley-Davidson because the offer expires on June 30th. 0 down options also available. Apply online at elcajonharley.com or visit them at 621 El Cajon Boulevard. Financing OAC and down payment may be required for 0% promo. Cannot be combined with other offers. See dealer for details. ElCajonHarley.com or nearby in El Cajon at 621 El Cajon Boulevard. Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys are the real deal. Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys. Their entire practice is dedicated to representing motorcyclists. As riders themselves, they understand why you ride, the issues you face, and the motorcycle culture. For over 30 years, Russ Brown and his partner Chuck Coro have been helping injured motorcyclists and their families get the care and compensation they deserve. Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys also created BAM. BAM! A nationwide buddy system of over 2 million riders helping riders in the event of a roadside emergency. BAM offers free legal advice, and thanks to Russ Brown, they have staff on hand to take your call 24/7, 365 days a year. Imagine a real person answering the phone 24/7. Just call 1-800-4BIKERS for more information and to get your BAM card today. If you go down, call Russ Brown, 1-800-4BIKERS, and online at russbrown.com.
Summer fun on the water has never been easier and more affordable than during Yamaha's First Choice for Fun savings event at Fun Bike Center. Check out the 2015 Wave Runners featuring Ride by Yamaha, the world's first dual throttle handlebar control system for a ride unlike anything else on the water. And right now, get the season's best finance offers on all 2015 and prior year Wave Runners, plus your choice of extended warranty or additional incentives on select models. Visit Fun Bike Center to check out San Diego's largest selection of Wave Runners. Learn more at funbike.com.
This is Bike Week Radio Show with Bobby Wooldridge, Broc Glover, and Paul Carruthers on San Diego's sports leader, the mighty 1090.
Welcome back to Bike Week Radio Show, San Diego Sports Leader, the mighty 1090. Third anniversary for Bike Week Radio Show. We did it. 3 whole years. And radio years are like dog years. I mean, these are doing a radio show is not easy. Doing a radio show for 3 years is definitely not easy. And so the fact that we made 3 years,
especially with this group.
I'm about to say, I think he's personally attacking you, Paul, and me. I'm sure I'm involved there too. Somehow.
No, I mean, you guys have put in a lot of work. I know you guys are on the road all the time for your jobs, and then to come back in the few weekend hours you have to spend them here with myself and our audience. I mean, I really appreciate it, and so thank you guys.
You're very welcome.
You're welcome, Bobby. Now I'm all teared up.
And I actually like the fact that Paul actually has to get out on the road, and he's working hard. I don't know, have you ever worked this hard, seriously? Seriously, have you ever had a job that's been this hard?
No, the Cycle News thing, actually, it's different. They're both hard. The trips are longer because, with Cycle News, I could go in on a Friday or whatever and be there for the weekend. But now if it's back east, I fly all day Wednesday, so I'm there for 5 or 6 days.
Yeah.
But it's different. I mean, I like this job a lot. Yeah. It's really rewarding and it's cool, and we have a good time and get some stuff done. But yeah, it's a lot of work. I mean, it's not my early retirement plan that I thought it might be. But we're getting there.
Yeah, you're carrying your golf clubs with you everywhere and tennis.
I'm racking up those mileage points and those hotel points and those rental car points, but I'll be too tired to want to use them.
Exactly. I know that story. So, speaking of too tired to want to use them, how do we transition this into this next gentleman?
Well, we're trying to track down Todd Huffman as well. He's got a project. He's got a couple projects, actually. And
he's always got some. How many irons in the fire does that guy have?
No
going,
kidding.
Huh?
Carlsbad Raceway Monument Project and also the Catalina Grand Prix, 2 different projects, and both you can head to Kickstarter and get a little crowdfunding going for those, because as anything, you got to kind of get some donations now. Yeah. That's the world we live in, and if you want to see it and be a part of it, it's kind of cool that you can donate and say, hey, I had a small part of that movie.
Well, I mean, if you guys can't put a face to the name or a project to the name there, Todd Huffman, he started with how most people came around knowing who he was the MX Files. He did those, basically did a half an hour show on all many top riders in the motocross history, and he did a great job on that. And then one of his more recent projects that hit the screen was the John Penton movie, which he did very, very in-depth research of John Penton and how the Penton motorcycle and how much influence that had on the off-road world, and it was very well done. And then he's got the Catalina Grand Prix, which was a historic race back in the 50s and 60s, I think, right? So Todd's done a great job of doing all these, and now he's trying to get a monument built in the park in the Carlsbad, near where the old racetrack was, overlooking the old racetrack, and the city of Carlsbad has been working with him on it, and so.
Well, let's head out to the hotline. Our fourth member, the father of Bike Week Radio Show.
Little oompa music.
Scott Cox joins Bike Week Radio Show, a guest on his own program, the father of Bike Week Radio Show. This is the man whose crazy dream of Bike Week Radio Show. Scott, when you dreamt Bike Week Radio Show, did you have a bunch of men chasing you as well?
Yeah, actually, and we were wearing lederhosen and doing the slap dance.
So nothing's changed 3 years ago and then today.
Hey, where am I?
Exactly.
3 years ago today, I was right here in Winnie Kershagel's house in Carinthia, southern Austria, right on the Italian border. I'm there again. We're still drinking Dunkel. We're headed to someplace tonight. Who knows? But it's been a great 3-year ride with you guys and with our crew. We've got quite a team that helps us put this show together. Not just the on-air talent, but our behind-the-scenes people. And they all know who they are. You know, Phil Kottner, our families, Molly Glover, Pat Cox, Patty Haskins, Kel Carruthers. God, Father's Day, Kel Carruthers, he made it 2 years in a row. That was just a highlight. It's interesting. He and I are both in Europe at the same time. There must be something there. But and I'm so blessed that we've had just wonderful sponsors since day one. You know, Geico has just been a real foundational supporter of Bike Week Radio Show and everything we do, all of our antics. And it was great to hear Chuck Coro on air for Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys. And you know, big shout out to our friends at Elkhorn Harley Davidson. You know, they just joined our ride nearly 3 years in, but I'm ready for 3 more. How about you guys?
Absolutely.
As long as you don't text us anything that says otherwise. I haven't gotten a text yet.
No termination text yet. I'm waiting for it. Okay, so as long as we're okay.
Scott, in 3 years, you've obviously been a part of the ride. I kind of want to go around the table here and reflect. Who's been your favorite guest on Bike Week Radio Show?
Put him on the spot.
I know.
We lose.
I think we lost him.
We lost him.
No, then
he's like, I'm out.
Then we'll go around the table, but I'll start with.
Go that
yeah,
way.
We'll go this.
Think about
I love Kyle Petty. I thought Kyle Petty was one of our favorite guests, and he's such a historic name, the Petty name. And then you get to sit in a room with him. You never know how these guys are going to be. And he was the nicest guy, one of the nicest guys we've ever met. And he had so much time for us. In fact, that he blew through another interview he was supposed to do. He was having so much fun with us that he blew off somebody else.
I think they were supposed to, his publicist wanted to give us, maybe 10 minutes?
Yeah.
And after 50 minutes or something,
we had to cut that show down.
I know.
We only have, an hour here on the program. We ended up going 90 minutes, and so I had to pull out stuff that interview.
I'm with you on that one. I think Kyle was a fantastic guest. And the fact that I knew he knew about motorcycling, but the fact that he knew far more about motorcycling. And I think he knows more about motorcycling than he does about NASCAR racing, if you can imagine a Petty saying that about a Petty. But he was a fantastic guest. He's a good personality, and he really seems like a super nice guy. That'd be great to hang out with him and ride a motorcycle with him. No question about it. So.
And I'll jump in another one and kind of lead it to Paul's favorite guest, but Kel Carruthers has been one of my favorite guests. Kel is such a fascinating guy. He's 77 and hauling ass in Europe right now on a bike. And again, that must skip a generation, because I don't know how we got stuck with Paul, but instead of Kel in the studio.
We talked about this last week. I got the looks, I guess.
Sick.
But no, I'm a little biased, obviously, but he's always been a good guest. He'll definitely, he says it like it is. He doesn't. I'm starting to get that way too. You get a little older and you don't give a crap anymore. You have your opinions and you just throw them out there and see what happens with it. So you can get yourself in a little bit of trouble. But No, we've had so many good guests. I mean, Colin Edwards and Wayne Rainey, and we've had all the motocross guys on there. We've had motocross guys on like the day after they've won a Supercross, Davey Millsaps, etc.
Eli Tomac.
Yeah. We've had Josh Hayes and Melissa in studio, which I thought was a good show.
I forgot about them.
And I talked to them. Obviously, I talk to them all the time at our races, and they both want to come back in studio. So that's something we'll have to set up here and when things slow down a little bit for those guys. But no, I mean, I mean, if you think back of the who's who that we've had on the show, it's pretty awesome, and they all bring a little something different. So it's kind of fun to talk to them.
Absolutely, and it's fun. I mean, I was thinking, your father's, I mean, when he's home and he's available, and so he kind of just doing a little handyman work and things like that, right? He's just doing a little.
He just.
Like, can you imagine? I mean, my point is, you're living in Murrieta. You call a guy up. Hey, I'm going to call Kel Carruthers, have him help me with a little handyman work around the house. Come in there. It's like you just pay the guy to sit there and BS about old MotoGP racing and world championships and Kenny Roberts and, Eddie Lawson's and Wayne Rainey's. I mean, you wouldn't even get anything done.
Well, he's funny because he still works hard, and he always has. But he was telling me the other day, he's like, oh man, my arms start to hurt a little bit when I'm doing this and that. And I'm like, okay, you're 77. Like, I have friends that are 55 or whatever, 50, and they're struggling with worse stuff than he struggles with at 77. So I told him, look, you're doing pretty good. Just, relax and enjoy the ride. So, he's in good shape, and I think, that's a byproduct of just being active and continuing to work and do stuff like that. So.
Barry Weiss, also another one.
I'm going to go off the record. You got Barry Weiss and probably Lyle Lovett. Two other guys that are completely. I'm always just, if you notice with the Kyle Petty comment, I'm just impressed with guys that are in such a different walk of life, but yet they just wish. I think it's secretly in their mind they probably wish they raced motorcycles for a living. And it's like, that's how into the sport they are. Barry Weiss is so into racing, and it's not just, I mean, the guy shows up in an endurocross. He shows up at a motocross or supercross. He shows up at a MotoGP in Europe. He just gets on a plane and goes, I'm going to Spain to go watch MotoGP. I mean, it's not like he's...
Well, it's different. It's like you and I have been doing this forever, and, for the majority of our lives, it's been our job. But it's different when it's like, man, it's your hobby. Like,
and you're reaching in your own wallet to buy your ticket.
And
exactly.
You're just like pumped on it. It's like, oh man, everything's new, it's fresh, and you're a fan and you're excited. And like you said, you'll spend money and go to these events. And I don't want to say you and I are like jaded, but I mean, you get to be a little bit, you take
I'll
it
be the
for
first
granted.
to admit, Paul, if it was, if I had to spend $5,000 to fly over to Spain to go watch a MotoGP race, I probably wouldn't do it. I'd spend $5,000 on something else.
Right, but that's because you've done it forever. So
it is, but these guys do it. They're fans of the sport. They're knowledgeable about the sport. They're not poser peripheral guys. And Lyle's the same way. I mean, he doesn't mention much. You go to his place, he's got a collection of off-road bikes and dirt bikes, and he knows every single thing about those bikes, and he knows the history of the sport. From top to bottom, and they're hardcore
it's good to
fans.
have those guys around.
And motorcycling, it's a better sport because of all those guys. And so thank them all for coming on our show, and thank them all for being motorcyclists.
And thank you once again to all of our sponsors who've made Bike Week Radio Show possible for the last 3 years. Geico, who's been with us since our inception and been the rock and foundation of Bike Week Radio Show. Can't thank Geico enough. Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys. Again, he's been along for the ride for over 2 years now. Russ Brown, you guys do great work. We're so proud to be sponsored with you. And our new one, El Cajon Harley Davidson. Fantastic to have you guys on board as well. Broc Glover, happy Father's Day. We'll see you when we see you, my friend. I don't know.
I know, actually. In Budds Creek next week. Going to take our daughter JC with us, with me, and we're going to do a little visit to Washington.
Bring your daughter to work day?
Well, it is going to be Washington, D.C. U.S. history's coming up, so we got to take her to Washington, D.C., and then going to go to Red Bud after that.
Paul Carruthers, happy Father's Day. You don't get any time because Brock ate all of it up. Sorry.
That's right.
Sorry. Happy Father's Day.
Thank you for joining us, Bike Week Radio Show. Thank you so much to all of our fans who've been there for the last 3 years as well. We'll see you next Sunday right here on San Diego Sports Leader, the Mighty 1090.
You've been listening to Bike Week Radio Show.
Powered by Geico. 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on motorcycle insurance.
Join us next week for more Bike Week Radio Show on San Diego's sports leader, the Mighty 1090.